have a show on Monday.
Oh.
Great to see all of you. Thank you
Beautiful
for tuning in.
smiling faces out there. We love you.
We can see all of them. You don't even know that. We can see y'all. We partnered up with Apple. We can see what every single one of you is doing right now. Just
Put your shirt on.
He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This is your Wednesday edition of Bet. We got picks and bets for the Memorial, which is this weekend at Muirfield. This guy's red hot, coming off a big plus unit performance last week. We've got NBA playoff pick'em, 4 games tonight. Massive implications for the NBA. It's never too early. 10 days from today, UFC 263 in Glendale, Arizona. Brett Okamoto will join us to preview all of that. Let a rider cash out is how we begin our Wednesday shows. Very simple premise. A statement is read, and if you agree, you let it ride. If you disagree, you cash out. You all set?
I'm ready.
But before we get to that, I have to remind you that if you're looking for additional content, YouTube's his place to go. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Any teams you think will go 17-0 this year, or conversely 0-17, this guy and Doug Kazarian were talking about it yesterday. On to the business at hand.
Let's do it.
The worst team in Major League Baseball is the Baltimore Orioles, who won just 5 games in the month of May. Let it ride or cash out. The Orioles will win at least 6 games in the month of June.
And Doug Kazarian very, very happy with the month of May, the ineptitude from the Baltimore Orioles. I am going to cash out here. I do think we have now seen the real Baltimore Orioles. A pretty decent April for them. Had Doug shaken a little bit on his under-season win total, but then the real O's flew out of the nest and showed us who they are. They have 6 games against Houston, one of the better teams in all of baseball, 7 games against Toronto, 7 games against Cleveland, 2 games against the Mets. They might be able to win those because the Mets don't score. And then 3 games against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are one of the hottest teams in all of baseball. When I look up and down that schedule for the month of June, I don't see 6 wins for the Baltimore Orioles. So all those teams better than they are right now. Every team in baseball is basically. But I don't see them, getting back to what we saw in April. I think that was likely going to be the best month they have of the entire summer, Joe.
All right, so we're going to start off a bit confrontational today. I am going to let it ride. Baseball is essentially a 6-month season. So if you were averaging 6 wins per month, you'd finish the year with 36 wins. That is pathetic by all standards, not just Oriole standards. Teams can get to 40 or 50 wins. So I looked at that and I thought to myself, yeah, they can get to 6. Hey, after all, they won yesterday. First game of the month, and they beat the Minnesota Twins. Then I remembered that they won the first game in the month of May, and we all know how that turned out. I think you made the best possible point to go against what I was going to say, which is the schedule. I mean, it is absolutely brutal. 7 with Toronto, 6 with Cleveland, 6 with Houston, 3 with the Rays, 2 with the Mets. And with the way they score, like you said, maybe you win those. But I am going to bet that somehow, some way, this team can find its way to 6 wins.
It is
not very confident.
A shockingly low number of wins necessary to clear this threshold, but we are talking about the O's here.
It's wildly insulting, and our producer, Weimer, came up with it. Wildly insulting to start the show with that type of question. All right, let it ride or cash out number 2. The 76ers, the Hawks, and the Jazz will all clinch their respective opening round series here on Wednesday night.
I am going to cash out on this as well, brother. I think we do see one series extended. I think 2 come to an end tonight. That'd be the Sixers and the Jazz winning their games. Even though the Sixers are going to be without Joel Embiid, I still think they can take care of business against Washington. Now that Donovan Mitchell is back and scoring like Donovan Mitchell in the postseason a season ago, I think the Jazz are just too much on both ends of the floor for an upstart Grizzlies team. I have said all along that I think the Knicks are going to win this series, so I got to ride with Derrick Rose, Julius Randle, Tom Thibodeau back at home against this Hawks team. We know how good the Hawks were on their home court to close out the regular season, and then, of course, taking those 2 games against the Knicks, to get to where we are right now. But I think the Knicks extend the series, Joe.
The head coach of the Knicks, what's his last name?
Thibodeau. Thibodeau?
You said Thibodeau. I say Thibodeau. You got me doubting myself. Am I wrong?
I think Tibbs. Yeah, Thibodeau.
Tibbs.
Thibodeau? Tibbs. I think Tibbs.
I can promise you one thing. We're not going to get to this by the end of the show. We will not have an answer for you. If any of you have an answer, feel free to blow us up.
I don't know if Tom knows or cares how it is pronounced.
All right, so I'm going to be with you on this one. I'm going to cash out. This is, every week we do this. We have 3 questions. and I generally feel pretty strong about whatever my answer is. This one, I don't feel all that strong. I agree with you on the Jazz. I think they handle their business. We're going to get to the picks on that game later, so we don't even need to talk about it all that much. I would kind of bet Atlanta, and we'll get on that a little bit later as well. If the Knicks get it done, based on the point spread, it's really tight. It's 1. Yeah. That would be the one that would happen. And now with the Sixers losing Embiid, a meniscus tear, it could be a long-term thing.
Yeah,
point spread 6.5. They should rally. They should get it done, but that's a concern as well. So I'm cashing out, but I'm cashing out reluctantly. There is not a lot of confidence in this. It would not surprise me at all if the Hawks, the Jazz, and the Sixers all find ways to win. Number 3, let it ride or cash out. Jon Rahm, who won the Memorial last year, will miss the cut at this year's Memorial, which pays 5-1.
Yeah, that's an easy cash out. Jon Rahm he's too good. I like the payout there. You get some nice odds, but Jon Rahm is too good. All-around game from tee to green, and Muirfield Village has been redesigned by Jack Nicklaus. We'll get into that in just a second, but Rahm's just too good. I'd rather bet on some other golfers who are top-notch, elite golfers that aren't in as good of form as Rahm, and he's in good form. He's such a good player. I'll pass on that and cash out.
Right there with you, and much easier to pull this one off. Jon Rahm has missed one cut in his last 25 starts. You can go back to last year. You can add another 9 tournaments at the end of last year. One missed cut in his last 25 events. He won here last year, so obviously he plays very well. He's one of the most consistent golfers on the tour. That's the best thing about Rahm. If you're betting him in majors, he might not win them, but he's consistently in the top 20, a lot of times top 10. Keep that in mind with the U.S. Open coming up at Torrey Pines. So, he did miss the cut in this event in 2017, the only other time he played here. 5-1, not enough to get me to go against the guy. That's
now he's for certain going to miss the cut since we were so confident.
I know. He's going to go out and throw 78 up there and withdrawal.
There on Thursday. Son of a biscuit.
All right. So here we go. Speaking of the Memorial, that is the event for this weekend, and that brings us to par 3, a little event we like to play on Wednesdays. 3 bets from each individual. Muirfield Village in Dublin, Ohio. Jack's Place. Par 72, 7,543 yards with the aforementioned Jon Rahm as your defending champion. 3 best bets. And before we get to that, big weeks last week. We both went 2-1, but this guy had 2 very nice payouts. Jordan Spieth top 10, as well as Brian Harman top 10, which was plus big money. So over the last 2 weeks, going back to the PGA Championship, 4-2 plus 4.3 units. 2-4, but up almost a full unit because you love to play those long shots.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, this guy's always playing
money.
long shots.
Don't look at the record.
That's
look at the units.
All right, so lay it on us. What are you doing this week?
All right, let's start first and foremost with the X-Man, Xander Schauffele. I'm going to take him at plus 450 to be top 5 in the field here. Go back to last year. Xander threw up a 6-over first-round score and then rallied to make the cut on the number and finish inside the top 15. We know he's been a little inconsistent in his form as of late, but the guy has the all-around game, gains strokes in all 4 facets of the game, likes difficult courses that have great fields, like this event does. Top 5 at plus 450. Then we get to Finau. Where he be now? Tony Finau, top 10.
Do I actually say that?
That's what I say.
That's what you say?
That's what I say.
All right,
Tony
if you created
Finau.
that, it's cool.
No, I didn't create that. I think his name is Chris Nelson.
And it's certainly not cool if you're ripping it.
Top 10 plus 225 for Finau. 3 top 15 finishes in 5 starts here. Finau, we think of this long player who overpowers courses.
Yes.
Joe, he is 4th in this field in strokes gained around the green.
Really?
And the fact that it is now fully a bent grass green that will be played here because of the Jack Nicklaus redesign. That's a surface, that's a grass type that Finau is most comfortable on. His short game's in form, and he has the distance off the tee to dominate at Muirfield. Finally, I got a long shot winner.
What do we got?
Joaquin Niemann at 40-1, Joe.
The Joker.
Do you know who has the longest made cut streak on the PGA Tour right now?
I'm guessing it's Joaquin Niemann.
Joaquin Niemann's made 19 straight cuts. So that's great just to get to the weekend, and then you see what happens. What is it going to take to win on this course? A great game from tee to green. Joaquin Niemann has gained strokes on the field from tee to green in 16 consecutive events. This guy is awesome off the tee. He's a great ball striker, and his putting is usually what holds him back. But again, another guy who is a bent green putting specialist. This is his favorite surface to putt on. And keep in mind, with that strokes gain from tee to green stat that I gave you, I picked this up from our guy David Behrman. 4 of the past 5 winners at this event have finished top 3 in the field during the event in strokes gained from tee to green. The only guy who didn't was Bryson DeChambeau in 2017 or 18. He was 12th in the field. So if you are
Still
gaining
very
strokes
good.
on the field, tee to green, if you have that game, you're likely going to be near the top of the league.
Okay, nicely done. And I like to see, considering how hot you are with this stuff right now, that great minds think alike. Hova. Hova. This one we don't think alike. Victor Hovland, first bet on the board, minus 125 to make the top 20. Great price. Considering if you look around, this is as high as minus 186.
Ooh.
Caesars William Hill at minus 125. We got a good price here, so we're going to fire on this. Top 20 in 9 of 15 starts this season. Top 5 in 6 of 15 starts this season. He's considered one of these newer generational players that is on the verge of breaking out. And this is an event where we've seen young guys break out. Bryson DeChambeau won a couple years ago. It was his big coming out party. Hovland could be the guy this week, but I'm going to play him just to get inside the top 20. And then let's bang him out back to back. 4-round matchup, your boy Joaquin Niemann, minus 110 over Louis Oosthuizen. All right, Louis overpriced here, in my opinion, a little bit because he's playing very well. So the anticipation is that he's going to continue to play well, which is why I think we're going to get good value. Oosthuizen, the last 2 years that he's been here, he's finished outside the top 50 in this event both times. Niemann has played here each of the last 3 years, has had 2 really good performances, a T6 and a T27. Struggled a bit last year, but it was the COVID year, the pandemic year. Considering the other starts were really good, we can keep that in mind. Hasn't missed a cut, like you said, in 19 starts, which leads me to show me squid. Number 3 on the board. It's a big price at minus 300, but Niemann to make the cut. Minus 300 implies a 75% probability. Considering the fact that he's playing very well, has played here well in the past, and has made the cut in 19 straight events, do you think we have a better than 75% chance of cashing?
I'd put it around 87%.
87%. I wrote down 85%.
Look at that.
We're both just pulling that right out of our.
Look at that mind meld.
You know that, but that's where we're going to be. Going to lay the big number here, but going to take a shot with it. And so concludes part 3 for the week. Nicely done. Let's go get it.
Let's rip it up at Muirfield,
baby. I like to
baby.
see that there's a little mind meld going on. All right, UFC 263 live from Glendale, Arizona is just 10 days away on June 12th. And for more on that, we turn to our man here in the desert, Brett Okamoto, who covers the UFC for ESPN. Brett, we always appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. UFC 263 featuring 3 5-round fights, including the Middleweight Championship main event between Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. This is a rematch from their 2018 bout in which Adesanya won by split decision. Now, that fight was only 3 rounds. This fight is obviously 5 rounds, and Vegas has it going the distance as a favorite at minus 162. So we start by asking you this. Do you see Adesanya Vettori going the distance?
You know, most likely, yes, and that's why you see, obviously, the line where it's at. It's shaded a little bit towards the over. However, I will say that I do think that the fact that these two are familiar with one another actually makes me think that it's possible that we could see a finish. It's a little bit more likely that we could see a finish. And the reason I say that is because of Adesanya. Adesanya is usually a guy who likes to sort of figure out his opponents. He has had some quick finishes, but he is very cerebral when he's inside the octagon. He likes to take that time to sort of see what they're coming with, react to what they're coming with, you know, set up his game plan, make sure that everything that he's calculated prior to the fight is what he's seeing in reality. And this time, he's already done that. He's already familiar with Marvin Vettori. So I could see a scenario in which we might see Israel open up a little bit more early than we're used to. But because of these two styles, because of the durability of both, they're both very hard to finish. Because of the fact that I think Marvin Vettori is going to try to wrestle a little bit and then tends to slow fights down, I would lean the over a little bit, as you see with the line. But if you're looking to bet it, you might think about the under, because I think Adesanya is going to open up a little bit earlier than what we're used to.
Brett, how would you handle betting the sides here? You see that Adesanya is a decided minus 260 favorite, the underdog Vettori at plus 210. If you were to wager, how would you?
You know, I think a lot of people have won a lot of money betting on Marvin Vettori. For whatever reason, this guy seems to fly under the radar, and now the difference is that now that's over. I think that Marvin Vettori is now getting a lot of the respect that he deserves. I see it, I think, reflected in this line. When you look at Israel Adesanya, his only loss was last fight, and that was when he was going up in weight and challenging a very, very tough 205-pound champion in Jan Blachowicz. I think that there's a possibility that we could see a little bit of value here in Israel, just because Israel's coming off of a loss, and that value on Marvin that has always kind of existed throughout his UFC career, I think is starting to dry up because people are aware of how good he is. So I like the fact that Israel has seen this guy already, has beaten him once before. Again, I think he's going to open up a little bit earlier. I think Marvin's path to victory is wrestling, and that is a possibility, that is a possible path that we could see. But I like Israel to stay on his feet and most likely win this fight.
co-main event features Davison Figueiredo taking on Brandon Moreno, squaring off for Figueiredo's lightweight title. If name-calling one fights, then Moreno would have this one in the bag. Unfortunately, it does not. Vegas says he's a plus 200 underdog for this one, even though he hasn't lost a fight since 2018. Would you back the underdog in this one?
I would think about it, especially at those lines. I mean, we've seen this fight before. Obviously, that's why we're seeing it again. It ended in a draw, so the UFC had to go back to the well and make an immediate rematch. So, I mean, if you're a bettor and you're looking at that like, hey, these two fought at the end of last year and they ended up at a draw, and now I can get this guy again still at plus 200. What's the deal there? Well, I think the deal there is that there were some circumstances for the champion Figueiredo leading into that fight. He fought in November and then turned right back around and fought in December. Now, Moreno did a quick turnaround too, but it's different. It's different when you're the champion and the target's on your back. I thought that was a big task that Figueiredo undertook at the end of last year, and he lost a point in that fight. A referee deducted a point from him for a low blow. So if that had never happened, he actually wins that fight, and we're not even talking about a rematch between these two. So I do think that Moreno is a live dog here. But that's going to be personal preference, man. Go back and watch that fight in December. It was a great fight. You go back and watch it even if you're not going to bet on it because it was the fight of the year, at least a candidate for fight of the year last year. And you might see some reason to bet in Brandon Moreno, but I will tell you the Figueiredo is the favorite for a reason, even though they fought to a draw, not that long ago.
Very quick correction here. I said lightweight title. This is the flyweight championship right there. Go ahead, my man.
And finally, Brett, we have a Diaz brother in the octagon. Leon Edwards taking on Nate Diaz, and Edwards is a massive 490 favorite as he tries to earn himself a welterweight title shot with Kamaru Usman as a big favorite. But Diaz being a Diaz boy, does this get outside of 3 rounds in your estimation?
Man, Nate is a tough guy, right? I mean, we've seen that over and over and over in his career. We saw it in the second fight, particularly with Conor McGregor. Those two went to war for 5 rounds, so he is tough to finish. Leon Edwards, not really known as a finisher, but I'm telling you guys, he's going to want to try and finish this fight. He's been a guy who has won a lot of fights, but he's never really gotten the recognition, never really gotten the respect that he deserves. So I think he's going out to try and make a statement. I would say go under. I would say go under because either Leon's going to make a statement or Nate is going to shock all of us and catch him in something and finish him out because he's not going to win a 5-round fight. If Nate wins this fight, he's going to need a finish. So if he does, might as well take it before the 3rd round. Yeah, sure. Let's take the under of the of that 5-round fight.
UFC 263, 10 days away in Glendale, Arizona. Brett Okamoto, who covers UFC for ESPN, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Thanks, Brett. Great stuff as always.
You got it, guys.
All right, let's turn our attention to the association. Big night, 4 games. They will be running concurrently. I don't think there's ever going to be a moment where we have fewer than 2 games running head-to-head. We could have 3 at the same time.
Do you have the proper setup for this? Do you have a room, a gentleman's lounge at the Fortenbaugh household where you have multiple screens?
Yeah, I've got a couple big screens up in the living room, and then I use devices. The problem is I've got 2 kids.
Yeah,
so
the real bummer.
Or some other nonsense is going to be on one, if not both. It could be cartoons on both, and then the game on the phone.
On the phone.
Ugh.
Just head to Kazarian's house. He's got like 8 TVs in the living room, right?
Him walking around in his boxer shorts, ordering food every quarter.
Silken robes.
That's a pass. All right, game number 1. Let's recap how we finished last week. Good team effort, 13-9 overall.
Nice. All
so
right.
over the last 4 weeks, we've had 3 winning weeks. 2 weeks ago was a loser only because of the juice. We were 13-13. We bounced back to go 13-9. So let's keep it cooking. The Philadelphia 76ers are up first. They're laying 6.5. Total of 229.5. Hosting the Washington Wizards. And this is a big one because there's going to be no Joel Embiid, meniscus tear in the knee.
Yeah, and when it comes to this game, one of my favorite bets has been Ben Simmons going over his rebounds and assist props. But with Embiid out, there's going to be a little bit more scoring responsibility, I imagine, for Ben Simmons. So I'll add the points to the assist and rebounds. Over 33.5 par points, assist, and rebounds. Simmons, like I said, should soak up more scoring. We know he's a triple-double threat when he's out there, which, by the way, on DraftKings, you can get that at plus 600.
Attaboy.
If you don't like the par as much, you can get a nice, juicy return on the triple-double. So, again, the matchup conducive to what Simmons likes to do. Push the pace, grab rebounds, and again, with the 7-footer Embiid off the floor, the 6'10" Simmons should have an easier time waxing glass. So I'll go over 33.5 for Vinny Boy in what I think is a closeout game.
I like it. I am a Sixers fan, born and raised. Give me the Wizards plus 6.5 tonight. That's how I feel
hedge
about this one. Embiid, look, for the long-term prognosis, That's going to be a big problem for their championship hopes, okay? If you look at the playoffs, which is a small sample size, on the floor, the offensive rating with Joel Embiid is 138. That is astronomical. With him off the floor, it falls to 100. That is pathetic. It would be one of the worst offensive ratings in the NBA. Now, for the regular season, it was similar. The drop-off when Embiid is not on the court from an offensive perspective is huge for this team. And I want you to remember something. The Wizards won Game 4 by 8 points, despite the fact that they committed 2 more turnovers and had 3 fewer made three-pointers. It's not as if Game 4 was some outlier performance where the Wizards shot 70% from the floor and 55% from deep. They played pretty well. The Sixers played really lousy. I think the Wizards are going to give you all they can handle tonight. Maybe the Sixers win, maybe they don't. 6.5, too many in my opinion. Give me the win.
I like that.
Game number 2. The New York Knicks trying to stave off elimination. They're laying 1.5, total of 208. What is this, 1997 against the Atlanta Hawks?
A prop that I've been riding for 3 out of the 4 games and has cashed 2 out of the 3 games I've played it. Game 2 and Game 3 didn't cash in Game 4. Derrick Rose over his point prop, which is set at 19.5. So we need a 20-piece from Derrick Rose. In this series, he's averaging, Joe, 22.8 points per game.
Very nice.
He only played 33 minutes in the Game 4 loss. Before that, he was in the upper 30s, 37, 38 minutes, and a must-win situation. And Tom Thibodeau as his head coach?
Coach T.
I think we're going to see Derrick Rose out there for, again, 37, 38, maybe even 40 minutes. Getting those minutes means he is, and he has that nice matchup with Trae Young, who is great offensively, not good defensively. They need Rose to score. I think he gets at least 20 in this bad boy and catch.
Look, if you're going down, do you want to go down with Derrick Rose or whatever the alternative is?
Elfrid Payton.
You want to go down with Derrick Rose. I'm going back to the well for one I like in this series as well. It's the Atlanta Hawks in the first half, plus 1 point tonight. The Atlanta Hawks have won the first half in every single game in this series. They are 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread in the first half, and they're doing it by an average of 8 points for first half. We're getting a point here. I guess the logic is that the Knicks are going to come out really aggressive trying to stave off elimination. I think the Hawks are going to be coming out just as aggressive trying to close this thing out. Trae Young likes playing at Madison Square Garden. This team's going to be amped up as well. It all comes down to the second quarter. Atlanta has outscored the Knicks by 21 points in the second quarter. They've been better with their substitutions. Their bench has played a much more effective role than the Knicks bench. We've spent all year talking about the great Knicks defense, and it has been Atlanta's defense, no joke. Holding the Knicks to 99 points per game in this series, 40% from the floor, 32% from deep. They deserve a lot more credit. Atlanta in the first half, plus 1 point. Game number 3. Big spread here. Utah Jazz laying 9.5, total of 226 against the Memphis Grizzlies as Utah looks to close it out.
Another point prop. This one is 3-0.
Another one.
Another one. Donnie Boy is back.
Sounds a little Italian.
Hold
Another
on.
one.
Another notch. That's what I got from Bam. I got it from Emerald Lagasse. I used to watch Emerald Live. Bam! Another notch.
That's very nice.
So another Donovan Mitchell point prop. He's 3-0. Since returning to this team, remember, did not play in Game 1. Game 2 comes out, scores 25 in 25 minutes. Game 3 comes out, scores 29 in 29 minutes. Game 4 scores 30 in, I believe, 32 minutes. Only 27.5. The minutes have climbed each and every game. I think now we finally see him back to his full 34 to 36 minutes. If that is the case, Donnie Boy in this matchup will score a 30-piece. Remember, he is kind of like Dame Lillard light. When the lights are the brightest, when the fans show up, Donovan Mitchell usually delivers. So I'm going to keep riding this. It's 3-0 so far this series.
He's been awesome. He's been absolutely awesome. I'm going back to the well for one that's been quite nice. It's the Utah Jazz in the first half. Another one. Minus 5.5 in this matchup. Utah has started extraordinarily fast in this series. They are outscoring the Grizzlies by 7 points per game in the first quarter. Not the first half, the first quarter. Now, Game 1, they lost the first half because Memphis surged in the second quarter. But guess what? That was without Donovan Mitchell, as you just mentioned. In the 3 games with Donovan Mitchell, the Utah Jazz are outscoring the Memphis Grizzlies by 12 points per game in the first half. They have been crushing them, and this shouldn't be a surprise because the Jazz were the #1 team in the NBA during the regular season in first half point differential. All games, +5. Games at home, +7. They've been extraordinary at home. And I think if you're in the locker room tonight and you're Quinn Snyder, you look around and you say, look, anybody want to get on a plane and go back to Memphis for Game 6? Everyone's going to go, oh, hell no. Throwing chairs everywhere. Start fast, finish fast. Memphis is going on vacation. Great season, Memphis.
I like pairing those together. Donovan Mitchell, if he has a big game, likely they win in the. I do think they come out and
Mitchell's been awesome.
Step on Memphis.
This is the coming out party if he can get them to the conference finals, maybe into the NBA finals. Final game, the Los Angeles Clippers are laying 7.5, total of 217 against the Dallas Mavericks in a banged-up Luka Doncic.
That is too many points, I think, for Luka to have. And I'm going to rely on our teammate, the venerable Adrian Wojnarowski, who on Monday tweeted that Luka Doncic's neck had already markedly improved, and he still had Tuesday and then all of Wednesday before the game tipped off Wednesday night. So I'm expecting an improved, a closer to 100% Luka. And we have seen, Brother Joe, what Luka has done against this team going back to last year's postseason in games 1 through 3 when he's been healthy enough. 38 points per game was his average in games 1 through 3. If Luka is anywhere near 100%, a 30 pieces in store tonight and a must-win situation. So I'll go over 28.5 because I believe Woj was letting us know that Luka's neck is feeling better.
I like that. I'm going to be with you. I hope you do well because I'm taking the Mavs plus the 7.5.
Yeah, that's too much.
Right, now let's go through the narrative here. How did everything start? The Clippers lose the first 2 games in the series, and the sky is falling. Everyone needs to be traded and or fired. That was it. Then quietly, the Clippers come storming back, even the series at 2. Now everyone thinks the Mavericks are cooked.
Yep.
Warren Buffett, remember the famous quote, be greedy when others are fearful, be fearful when others are greedy. Everyone's fearful of the Mavericks right now. Be greedy of them. Listen to how they shot in Game 4. 34% from the floor, worst of 76 games this season. 16% from deep, worst of 76 games this season. 63% from the charity stripe, 9th worst of 76 games this season. They're not going to shoot that point again. And remember something, this is only the 3rd time this year they've been an underdog of 7 or more points. They covered the spread in both of the previous instances, winning one of those games outright. That was Game 2 against the Clippers.
Luka the Don. Have a big one.
All right. Time for some diamond dollars. Let's play some baseball. I don't like this segment. I campaigned for this segment. I don't like this segment at all. Here's how it works.
I love this segment.
Started with a bankroll of $100. We're going to play it every week until the end of the regular season to see who can build the bigger bankroll. I stink. I am 1-3 on the season. I've already lost almost 30% of my bankroll. You, however, very selective. 1 game pick each week.
Right.
1-0, up to $130.25. So job well done. You can pick as many games as you like.
Right.
Floor is yours. What do you got for us?
I'm just going to ride one game again. I looked at the board, and Joe, I didn't necessarily love it. But I did look at my Cardinals against the LA Dodgers, and I will pick the Dodgers to score first and win the game at plus 115. Why? Carlos Martinez versus Walker Buehler. Buehler, one of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. Martinez is a guy who can get roughed up, especially by left-handers, and there's a lot of left-handed power in this Dodger lineup. So we need Buehler to go out there in the first and blank the Cardinals, then let that Dodger offense get to the Cardinal starter, Carlos Martinez, who, again, 4.22 ERA this season. He's been better, but Buehler's just better. 2.66 ERA, and that Dodger offense, I think, has the weapons to attack the weakness of Carmart, which is left-handed power.
I got to be completely honest
$20
here.
is what I'm betting on that, by the way.
I saw it. It's sizable. I hope you lose. I have to say it. I have to. I'm down $60 after 2 weeks. I don't know why I had to bet so many games, but guess what?
You're just getting greedy. You're doing what Warren Buffett said.
Big card. Be greedy when others are greedy. It's not the approach, but that's what I'm doing. We're going to get very greedy tonight. Let's get to it. The Orioles and the Twins. I've got 2 wagers in that game. We're going to go over 10 runs, $22 to win 42, or to return $22, obviously. And I'm going to play the Twins over 5.5 runs, team total. Matt Harvey's on the mound tonight. He has been awful. 6.84 ERA this season, but in his last 4 starts, he's only thrown 13 2/3 innings while giving up 23 earned runs. His ERA over his last 4 starts is north of 15. Minnesota hits right-handed pitching very well, so I like the over 10 runs for the game. I like the over 5.5 runs on the team total. Also playing the Marlins at plus 150 against the Blue Jays. Love Pablo Lopez, very undervalued as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, I was looking at that Twins game as one where offense could be found for my daily fantasy lineup.
Before I let you go, one final wager on our way out the door.
How about some sticks and pucks, huh?
Yes,
we have game 1 between Montreal and Winnipeg, and Montreal at plus 125 is coming off that Game 7 win over Toronto just a few days ago. Meanwhile, Winnipeg swept Edmonton. They haven't played since May 24th. 9 days off, and they get a Montreal team that's hot after a Game 7 win, I'll take the Dogs at plus 125.
Give me the Seattle Mariners at plus 135 over the Oakland Athletics. The price has been dropping a little bit.
Yep.
Oakland this season has been very, very good. 7 games over 500. With a -5 run differential, some regression is predicted there. Sean Manaea, the lefty, is going to go for the A's. The Mariners haven't been great against lefties, but Chris Flexen for Seattle, 1 or fewer earned runs in 4 of his last 7 starts.
I have the dog of the day bone. Perhaps I'll steal something that you just
Daily
said.
Wager on ESPN2, 6 p.m. Eastern. Tyler, Joe, see you tomorrow.